I'm making this video more for non-Americans because a lot of my friends and acquaintances who know that I talk about politics on YouTube keep asking me what is going on with Donald Trump. Why is he getting arrested? I mean, he's got over 30 charges. What has he done? So I decided to do a little bit of digging and summarize everything that is known up until today and make a small video. Now, the first thing to explain is why a lot of Americans are very upset about this. And this is besides the fact that it is being viewed as political. I mean, there's no way you can view it outside of politics, especially when everything is political, I've been told by the left. But it's also due to the fact that you actually have the president of Salvador and many other high-ranking politicians around the world issuing similar statements. Imagine if this happened in any other country where a government arrested the main opposition candidate. The United States' ability to use democracy as a foreign policy is gone. I mean, when Russia did it, rightfully so, everyone came out and said that, what is going on? And so you can't do this, like it's a dictatorship. But when it's done in the United States, oh, well, no one is above the law. It just so happens that so close to an election, we decided to prosecute. We couldn't have prosecuted 3 years up until now. Now the moment was upon us. And if you read Politico, they are talking in this article about how in 2016 the same playbook happened. The press, as well as the Democrats, tried their best in order to support who they thought is the weaker candidate on the right. They looked at Donald Trump, they saw a buffoon, they saw a clown, and initially they were actually ignoring some of his gaffes. They were looking away from it, and after he became the Republican nominee, then they went in full swing and attacked him, calling him misogynistic. You guys remember the grab her by the pussy thing, and so on and so forth. So basically, the whole goal was to mire the candidate in so many scandals and to select what they perceive to be the weakest candidate so that it gives the Democratic candidate a higher chance of winning. But as you can see here, it says at the bottom of the article that the advisors are confident that those swing voters are now permanently out of Trump's reach. Obviously, swing voters are the most important type of voters in an election. And according to 4 senior people, they have a difficult time imagining that a voter who went for Trump in 2016, but then ran away from him in 2020, would return to cast their ballot for the former president after the January 6th insurrection, several criminal investigations, and years of election denialism. So, in other words, all of this, I can't really call it circus, but I guess all of these legal procedures that legally amounted to nothing, in reality, they serve a very important political purpose in swinging the perception of the average electorate. And if you want to see more evidence of this, is that he has been charged with 34 crimes. And the newspapers are talking about this as headlines, but when you actually look at the crimes, you realize that it's literally the same crime that's being repeated over and over. I guess it kind of makes sense. Someone that did commit 34 crimes would have been prosecuted up until now. You don't need almost 4 years in order to go after someone who committed so many crimes. The crime is that of falsifying business records in the first degree. In other words, he did legal things with the money he had, but he didn't account it, and the fact that it was his campaign money, he may have defrauded the voters. This is the accusation that is being brought, as far as I understand it. The only problem is that this has statute of limitation. In other words, it expired. So, what the prosecutors are saying is that, well, yes, those accusations, those 34 accusations have expired, but the problem is that he used them in order to cover up a more serious crime.
Under New York state law, it is a felony to falsify business records with intent to defraud and an intent to conceal another crime. That is exactly what this case is about. 34 false statements made to cover up other crimes. These are felony crimes in New York State, no matter who you are. We cannot and will not normalize serious criminal conduct. The defendant repeatedly made false statements on New York business records. He also caused others to make false statements.
The interesting thing is that he does not say which is the more serious crime. And as I saw on a video, a reporter actually asked, like, what is that crime? And he said that legally he doesn't have to say, so I guess it's going to be a surprise, a Barashuk. We're going to find out. Interestingly enough, Trump went to the courthouse yesterday, and the mainstream media is going to begin the circus. I personally think that this is actually going to pump him up in the polls. Well, maybe there are people who indeed are going to be finding Trump unsavory, and they're going to say, well, we're not going to vote for a criminal. In Brazil, they did vote for someone that had accusations of criminal activity. So basically, if these people were in Brazil, they probably wouldn't have voted for Lula. But I do also know people that would have stayed home this election because they didn't like any of the candidates. However, now that this circus is unfolding, they're like, oh, well, I guess I have to vote for Trump. So he may actually gain a little bit in the polls, especially because many people like to side with the underdog, with the martyr. And many people are indeed viewing this as a charade because he has been legally investigated many times, and almost every single time actually they found nothing, right? We had the Pissgate dossier, we had the January 6th, we had like a lot of investigation, the Russian collusion. I remember like that was even during the pandemic, right? Like instead of the Democrats being focused on the upcoming pandemic, they were focused on impeaching Donald Trump. And none of those came to anything. So the public has a little bit of Trump investigation fatigue. Of course, we're going to see what's happening, but especially due to the fact that it's so close to the election, and especially due to the fact that 1 week before the Republican primary, he's going to have to show up in court, a lot of people are being very upset about this turn of events. What's also interesting is that, well, apparently he can face over 100. Obviously, it's highly unlikely, but from my own personal experience, unlikely things have happened in the United States judicial system. Alex Jones, for example, had to pay more money in reparations than Germany had to pay to Poland for World War II. So, you know, strange things can happen. We'll see. What is interesting is the mainstream media scandal. I already seen newspapers talking about the fact that he had his hair dyed yellow. Isn't that like old shaming? Like you're shaming old people, or is that trendy now? I mean, you know, people that are old have white hair. Many of them do not like to appear with it and such, so they dye it. But, well, let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care. Oh, and by the way, we're doing a live stream after this. We can talk about this event a little bit more. So there's a blue text. If you're watching this live, there's a blue text that appears into the upper corner. If you click it, it's going to take you to my live stream. Hopefully, I will see you there and you can interact with me.